Hello guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm super pumped because we're going to be talking about everything Sony a5000 in 2023, the good, the bad, the ugly, and if you should consider it this year. Stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be talking a little bit about who this camera is best suited for this year in 2023. It's an incredible value, good bargain right now, bought it on the used market. And then last thing is in the description, I'll leave all the notes, the good, the bad, the ugly, if you just want to read through at any point in this video. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about photography and specifically what's good about this camera. So number one, it shoots in RAW, and that's pretty awesome if you're trying to get back detail in the shadows and if you're really into editing and you want to start messing around with that. So that is pretty solid. It's a 20 megapixel sensor, aps-c, and it gives you enough to recompose your image in post without losing too much information. So that's pretty solid. Full functional manual mode, and I mean from everything. So you can learn to set your aperture, your shutter speed, your ISO, your Kelvin even. A lot of these older cameras, you couldn't even set your manual white balance on in 2014, these entry-level ones, but in this one you can. So honestly, for a first-time photographer, it gives you the ability to learn everything you need to know about camera settings. All right, sticking with the good, let's shift over to video. And I'm not saying that this camera is meant for videographers, but if you want to start playing around with video and you are like a first-time video enthusiast, I mean, I guess there's enough here to play with. It's not full HD, which is typically 1920 by 1080 aspect ratio, but it is close. It's 1440 by 1080, so we're not shooting in 720p. You have two options for frame rates at 24 frames per second and 60 frames per second. There's no 30 option. But it's shooting in low bit rates, and this is kind of funny. So it's shooting at 17 megabits per second, and that's just the information that you're getting, which is rather low, not a lot of information in your video. The higher megabits per second settings that if you wanted to use, you actually have to record it to a Blu-ray, and I thought that was hilarious. But anyways, what else is good about this? It has a cool record button on the back. Not like a designated toggle switch or anything, but at least it has that record button. And lastly, it does have zebras and focus peaking as well, which isn't bad for a camera on the used market that's coming in at like 200 bucks. Let's finish off the good things about this camera with the feature set. So number one, it has a flippy screen, which is kind of cool. Not fully articulating, but you can see yourself if you were to, I don't know, say vlog or you wanted to take selfies with a wide enough lens. It has a built-in flash with it, which is kind of cool. But be careful with this because the longer barrel that your lens is going to cast like a pretty gnarly shadow. So it's kind of only works with like pancake lenses or the kit lens that it came with. It's an E-mount camera, which means that all these lenses that came out for like the past 8, 9, 10 years for the E-mount system are compatible with this camera, and that's super cool. Your camera and your photos are only as good as the best lens that you have. To charge this camera, it takes USB micro B, which everyone has a million of these cables lying around their house, so that's not a problem. It's small and compact with the lens kit, so that's really cool, or a pancake lens that you put on it. It supports Wi-Fi, and the last thing is that you can get an adapter and you can put vintage lenses on it, which is what I like to do. So yeah, that's it for the good. Super quick, if you guys are enjoying this video and it's provided any value for you, feel free to boop the like button, just give it a little smash because that goes a really long way in helping my channel get noticed. So thank you in advance for that. Let's dive into the negative parts of this camera for photography. So first, let's start with noise. So it's gonna produce some decent amount of camera noise, anything past 800 ISO, which isn't ideal. It has a burst mode, but it's only at 4 frames per second for photos, so don't expect anything crazy for that. A really big downfall is no viewfinder on this, so in really sunny conditions outside, you're gonna have to use that LCD screen, which isn't ideal. The kit lens that comes with it isn't great, but hey, it comes with a kit lens and it's a 16 to 50, something like that. And what that allows for beginners to do is really dial in what focal length that they enjoy. All right, so what's bad about this camera for video? Well, kind of a whole lot. It doesn't even shoot full 1080p, doesn't shoot 4K, but what do you expect at this price point and the age of this camera? Doesn't have in-body image stabilization, but the lens that it comes with does have its own stabilization built into the lens, so that's kind of cool. To get higher video quality, so higher megabits per second, as I mentioned before, you need a Blu-ray output, and no one's going to be doing that. That's so outdated right now. That's hilarious. All right, so what sucks about this camera for features? First, let's start with battery life. So these batteries are super small, and you're going to need like 3, 4, or 5 if you're actually putting it to any real-world use. But if you're just using it for fun, you could probably get away with 1 or 2 if it's just like a hobbyist camera, which at this point it probably is. It doesn't have a hot shoe, and that kind of sucks for me because then you can't use flash or microphones. Like Sony makes these proprietary Sony microphones that you could just put in like a hot shoe mount. So that would have been really cool to be able to add to this. It doesn't have like a mic input or headphone input. So yeah, again, not great for video. E-mount lenses could end up costing you like double what the actual camera body and kit lens did. So unfortunately, Sony's budget options start at a higher price point than say Canon's. I think you can get like Canon's 50mm for $149, but if you want Sony's 50mm, it's like $349, so it's $200 more. So Canon does offer better lens selection for like super beginners. And last thing about the features is just like the general ergonomics of the camera. Like it's super small in the hand and it doesn't really feel that natural, especially when you're putting on bigger lenses other than the kit lens. So let's wrap this up. Who's this camera for in 2023? Well, essentially, if you aren't fully comfortable with camera settings yet and you want to get into photography, something that's a little bit of a level up over your iPhone, for $200, I don't think you can go wrong because you can learn full manual settings with this. And it even has some cool video features, but don't be buying this for video. I really think value for money, you're gonna be hard pressed to find a better photography beginner camera on the market, other than maybe the Sony a6000, which we're gonna talk about a little bit next week on the channel, so stick around for that. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope I provided some value in some way. Check out the channel, join the team, subscribe if you want to, or just like this video. It goes a really long way, and we'll see you next week for the Sony a6000. And check out this video here if you are into Sony mirrorless cameras and you want to learn a little bit more about the ecosystem.